dismantling basic services at the behest of online Nazis and surrendering Europe to a sworn enemy of international democracy turns out to still be unpopular. Actually, oh, that's great news. That's great news, Slate. It really matters. It really matters right now in February of 2025.
Trump is the new Adolf.
Remember when we had all those poll episodes leading into the election that we all loved? Does everyone remember that? I got to use my political science degree. It was very fun. It was very fun. And those polls turned out to mean nothing, probably because...
And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote-counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide. So
oh, man, weird.
It was pretty good. So thank you to Elon.
Thank you, Elon. This is not a poll episode because where we're going, we don't need polls. Dank reference, bro. We're going to the future where we will not need polls. What was that date they put in? Look at that, would you? October 21st, 2015. That's when Back to the Future. That's when they went to the future. Marty, you had the chance to become the biggest hero this country have ever known. Man, this is what we needed right here. That's what we needed to head to 2015. 2016, I was disappointed in people that voted for Trump. 2020, I was ashamed to know people that voted for Trump. If you voted for him in 2020, I was ashamed that I was associated with you. 2025, if you voted for Donald Trump, you have about 5 seconds to get off my property.
I might lose my farm because of the government. I got in bed with the government. I was promoting getting in bed with the government because I thought it was a good idea.
Sounds like welfare.
So, NRCS.
Oh, he's got props.
Conservation planning.
Nice.
So they had a program out there called the EQIP program.
Yeah, under
and
Biden.
What the EQIP program is it's cost sharing on stuff like fencing, different seedings, water lines, waters, wells,
like
and stuff like that to better conserve farmland for agricultural use. So I thought it was a great program. We got a contract with them for $240,000.
Oh, great.
So we signed a contract with them
for
$240,000.
Nice.
And we have bought different types of material. We've gotten paid out on some of it, but I now have $80,000 worth of material and signed contracts for labor that are going to install the water lines in the upcoming
This guy
few
voted
weeks
for
and
Donald
months.
Trump.
And with that being said, they called me today and said, hey, I know we have this signed contract. We're reneging on it. We're not going to pay out on it. What do you mean
Elections
you're not
have
gonna pay out on it?
consequences.
So I've got all this stuff bought, and whenever I install it, you're not going to pay out. We had this contract. I made business decisions based on this contract.
But did you
So
make
now I have
voting
$80,000
decisions
out
based
of my
on
pocket that I didn't have to spend? So the $80,000 that we have is supposed to go to our farm loan in the fall.
Cry us a river, would you? Which he is. This guy's Instagram, this guy's TikTok is filled with nothing but this, crying into a camera because he voted for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump rescinded Biden, allowing the government to help share payments with him on his farm. And right out the gate, we all need farmers. We need them. We need the labor of these people that are being demonized, right, to make it. But farmers, traditionally, currently, in the future, have always been huge welfare queens. Sometimes they grow things just to let them die. Or in this case, corn. Corn is literally in everything in this country. That's not just because we love corn so much. It's because it's been subsidized so hard that they even had to put it in the gas. It's in our hair. I think they made a whole documentary out of it. I saw it somewhere at Sundance when I used to live in Utah. Corn. I don't remember eating corn. People familiar with this channel might think I'm a bit of a pessimist. I call myself a realist, but you might think I'm a bit of a pessimist. But when you grow up in a coal mining town like I did, the brightest future at the end of that tunnel for most people is still just a black hole. Wow, that was deep. That's poetry. And it's not a black hole for everybody. I got out. A kid I went to school with, he even went to Harvard. Right? One kid ended up going to Harvard from my class. That's pretty good. And the most memorable thing I can remember about him is that him and his girlfriend they would eat each other's, they would eat each other's butts That was before, I think the Zoomers, this new generation, they're a lot more comfortable with it. But back when I was in high school, you didn't have a lot of butt eating. And her chin, here's the thing why I remember this. Can I go off for a minute? Tell you a little story. Her chin was at a 90-degree angle, right? It was like this. So it's almost, she could lay there and she could really get in there to eat that butt. It's almost like evolution had perfected her face for her to be the most efficient too. I'm sure she was efficient at eating his butt. What are you watching? What is this episode about? He went to Harvard, so I don't know what that's the point I was making. Some people got out of my small town. I went off on this. I swear, I'll find a metaphor or something to bring this butt eating back into. But anyway, let's get back to these Trump voters who are now, regretting their vote. And also like and subscribe. Stacey White, this lady right here, she said she voted for President Trump because she wanted lower prices and to stop fentanyl from coming into the U.S. Well, maybe people should quit using fentanyl. Maybe America should do that. Seems like a pretty good way to stop it. Now, with widespread layoffs and expected cuts, she worries her family will lose their house if her partner is laid off from his government-adjacent job. Everybody else has done nothing but talk about Project 2025 coming into this. This is why critical thinking is so important. All these Stacey White, you want to cry some tears for Stacey White. Now she sees it. Oh, she probably one of those who back then said, oh, Trump said he doesn't even know what Project 2025 is, so he's not going to do anything about it. Well, Stacey White, you ain't right. Change your name to Stacey Wrong. Because at the dialysis unit where she works, staff has started doing drills for what to do if immigration and custom enforcement comes to deport their patients, some of who are in the country illegally. She knew they were in the country illegally before she voted for Trump. She knew her husband worked for the government. That's what this episode is about. We are 9 years in with these people. All right? So if you're coming to this episode, you think you're going to get some sympathy for me? When it's at your doorstep, you finally realize what's going on. Well, you're not going to get any sympathy on this episode. Stacey Wrong says when he said stay for borders, I thought he was thinking, let's stop the drugs from coming to this country. I didn't know he was going to start raiding places. My God. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through this episode. She said she didn't want to believe he would actually follow through on some of the more hardline policies he touted during the campaign. Now, this is a quote from Stacey White. Now I'm like, dang, why didn't I just pick Kamala? She probably said, did I say it right? Kamala. It's been a while. Kamala. She probably said it the wrong way, unless I'm saying it the wrong way. The 49-year-old, she's 49 years old. After 9 years of this, she didn't realize this is what was going to happen. She's not 9 years old. She's 49 years old. The whole point of critical thinking, the whole point of what we're warning you about is to anticipate what's coming, right? In Trump's case, all you had to do was listen to anything he literally said on the campaign trail on TV. This is all he was talking about, 9 years later, dang, I should have voted for Kamala. Shucks. At least I got this cool hat out of it. Pretty cool. Emily Anderson. I don't think she wanted her picture taken by Rupert Murdoch's paper here, the Wall Street Journal. Emily Anderson from Duluth, Minnesota. Always considered herself a Democrat, but backed Trump after Kennedy dropped out of the race. Anderson aligned with Michelle Obama's Make America Healthy Again. Remember when Michelle Obama... Oh, wait. No, that's not right. No, she was against Michelle Obama when she wanted kids to eat a piece of fruit once in a while. But she aligned herself with Kennedy's Make America Healthy Again messaging. Particularly the focus on getting toxins out of the food. Because he's going to be doing that, right? Eat it. Eat it on the camera, Kennedy. Kennedy is now the Health and Human Service Secretary. Anderson, who works with disabled adults, said Kennedy's government role is the only bright spot for a vote she categorizes as the biggest mistake of her life. The biggest mistake of her life. You know, I got a tattoo on my head that says Spring Break 2000 right here. I can never go bald because I got this big tattoo, and the 2 zeros in the middle are a pair of boobs. I never voted for Trump. I don't think I've ever even voted for a Republican. I don't even think I've even considered voting for a Republican in my entire life. So that will have to remain my biggest mistake. She is horrified by Trump's focus on deportations and use of Guantanamo Bay to hold migrants. Like I said, what did they think was going to happen? She alleged that Trump had been too focused on ridiculous flashy moves such as banning paper straws and renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Her daughter's occupational therapist has stopped taking new patients over fears that her practice will have its federal funding dried up. All these people, all these chuds, right? They're all interconnected so much with things that directly affect them. Remember that book, Whatever Happened in Kansas? About how people in Kansas, I think it was Kansas, vote against their own self-interest. I could summarize that book. Whatever Happened in Kansas? People are idiots. Anderson says, I feel so stupid. Let me read that again. She says, I feel so stupid. Guilty, regretful, embarrassed is a huge one. I'm absolutely embarrassed I voted for Trump. So Anderson's 30. She was 21 years old when all this started. He came down that escalator. Right? Where's she been? What'd she spend her 20s doing? Obviously not paying attention. You know, she works with disabled adults. But I have to think, biggest mistake of my life, Spider-Man pointing gif. But don't worry, Chuds. Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, fair and balanced, fair and balanced. They went out and found a Chud who's happy about all this, right? This guy right here. Looks like, I think we all know where this is going. I'm thrilled with Trump, and he's done more in less than a month than most presidents have done in their whole term. Yeah, he's passed one law. That Mexico border law. That's the only law he's passed. The rest are by decree. Said Todd, he didn't say that last part. That last part's added by me. But he's done more than presidents have done in their whole term, said Todd Winant. Winant? I don't know. A holistic coach from Cornville, Arizona. Winant was a longtime Democrat, just like Anderson, who had initially been all in on Robert F. Kennedy, but moved to Trump after the independent candidate dropped out. Right? You see what this guy? A holistic coach. Bet you couldn't see that one coming. Winant 64 cited Trump's talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in an effort to end the Ukraine war. His immigration crackdown and his decision to put Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic congresswoman, now the country's intelligence chief, in his cabinet. This is a quote from Winant. My whole nervous system relaxed when Kennedy and Gabbard were confirmed. That's what he said. His whole nervous system relaxed as he rubbed his magic crystals all along his balls and stared at his $13 in his bank account. So that brings me to that girl. I told you I was going to bring it around. That brings me to the girl that ate that guy's butt who went to Harvard from my high school. Her chin was built at a perfect 90-degree angle to really get in there, to really be able to slurp it up. These people's minds have been molded and formed with intention. This didn't just come out of anywhere. This has been the intention since at least Reagan. Just like her, to eat it all up. But the thing about being a Republican, the thing about eating ass, is sometimes you're going to taste some shit. The truth is, the people in this article, my friend, my wife's family, right? They all realized they made a mistake, but they didn't realize it because they said and thought about it a year ago, 9 years ago. They didn't realize that it's because they finally tasted the shit. You know what I mean? No critical thinking went into this. No planning for the future. Your future, your kids' future, your grandkids' future. That didn't go into any of this, of why they've circled around. Oh, maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we should have voted for that nice black lady, right? None of that. They only changed 9 years later because it affected their lives directly. That's what this is. That's what all this is, right? This poll right here found that 41% of participants view Trump as a dictator. Just 45% who do not. 41% of the people in this country think Trump is a dictator. And 45% don't think he is. That's like 4-point difference. From a plurality, from an acceptance of what we are now, right? 14% aren't sure or have no opinion. Well, we're weighing it out. We'll see what happens. This is during only the first 100-day honeymoon phase of his presidency. I mean, we're like a month in. 30 days in. What, Hitler took over in 53 days, I think, Germany? Oh, I'm not sure. We'll see how it pans out. Trump is sinking in the polls, right? The drunk sluts who've been fighting these culture wars, they're waking up to a hangover. That's what these people are doing. They're waking up with a hangover next to a naked Kid Rock. And also, what a loss to this show. Lori Booby, reach out to me. Tell me the rumors aren't true, girl. Hep C is incurable. He's going to give that to you for the rest of your life. You know, if I was a Trump voter in this article, that would be my regret. They'd be like, hey, what do you regret about voting for Trump? I'd be like, sure. He's ripping out all the pillars of the government. My friends are being put in camps. My retirement is crashing out. No one's here to pick the rotting foods in the field that we all eat. But that's not what I'm mad about. Why did Kid Rock have to poison the pool of my future wife and ex-wife? I could have fixed her. I could have fixed you, Lori. I can't fix hepatitis C. We are in the third act of this democratic republic. I don't think anyone can dispute that, right? Does anyone out there think we're a healthy, thriving democracy? Right? This is your acting deputy director right here of the FBI. Traditionally, this position goes to some senior FBI agents. It's the beginning of the FBI because they know what's going on. But not this time around. This is Dan Bondingo, acting deputy director.
The only thing that matters is what? Chat. What matters? Anyone?
Cheese.
Power.
Ooh, look, he's mouthing it.
See what I'm mouthing? Power.
We see what you're mouthing.
That is all that matters.
Power. That's all that matters. The party of law and order, right? Now, I'm not saying they use an attack, real or fake to institute martial law and distort mail-in election results through their control of the USPS, but I'm saying Project 2025 exists and would love to do exactly that. And also, that's exactly what I'm saying.
But the issue is it's a signed contract. It's a legally binding contract.
This guy from earlier, he's still crying.
They're not paying out on it. So it puts me in a bind because I've made business decisions based on that contract.
Let's talk to your representative.
What do you say to Skylar Holden and people in that predicament?
What I would say is Congress, that the government needs to do a better job at working for the American people. Too often, it seems like the American people's working for the government, and the whole purpose of freezing and putting a hold on everything right now is to review to make sure it's working the way that Congress and the executive is supposed to implement. It's unfortunate that this is the case. I've been talking with several farmers that have been experiencing this and trying to help guide them through this process. But it's all going to work out. Right now, it's a little bit disruptive, but that's what this administration promised whenever they were coming to Washington,
so
is that they would be disruptive and look at ways to make the government more efficient and working for the people.
So when he won, that clip ended too soon. Get those bootstraps, farmer, because Jason Smith ain't coming to help you. None of them are coming to help you. The Republican Party's terrified. Whether it's of physical threats, I don't know, Jason Smith probably has some stuff in his closet. If I'm guessing here, whether it's blackmail or whether it's just not being able to be in the Congress anymore, right? For standing up in something and losing this gig that was never supposed to be a lifetime job. They're not coming to help you. So polls, these people crying, we didn't know after 9 years, that's great. But the avenues to remedies have dwindled, And anyone who is a student of history knows exactly what comes next. I'm not going to say what comes next. Hold on. I'll go put on a shirt and then I'll show you, I'll report on something. Let me go put on my press shirt, and then I'll report on what comes next. This shirt fits horribly, but now I'm the press. I don't know. Here you see, it doesn't fit very well. It's kind of itchy too. I guess I should have tried it on before putting it on. I'm the press now. So I'm not going to tell you what comes next, but someone did hang this sign in Louisville, Kentucky, right? I'm just reporting on it. YouTube, just reporting on a sign that was put up. You know what I'm saying? Summer's coming. Protests will be hotbeds for Trump to show the force of these new brown shirts. Enrique's out of prison. He's already trolling around. Dan Bongino, the acting deputy of the FBI, his boss, writes children fiction about how Trump is a king. Summer's coming. This will definitely happen. So I will just say this. Historically, power is never given up. The United States Congress has turned over every bit of their power. Willingly, without any concession, right? They've turned over every bit of their power, as I said, because they're scared. They've turned it over to an authoritarian executive. The Supreme Court took, leading up to the election, to clarify that the executive is above the law. Power is never given. It's taken. The Chud Report. I know it feels like a downer episode, and that's because it is a downer episode, right? I'm not going to try to doll this up for you. I'm not going to try to doll up where we're at or give any kind of false hope. You know, there's hope. I love that Bernie is getting people woke up in these deep red districts. That's great. I love it. Just wish we could have done it a year ago. You know, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer. I don't know. There must be in this Jason Smith's closet, probably hiding there. I haven't seen it at all. They're not going to be the ones who take us there. And I appreciate the members of this channel who keep us going, right? You guys are the best. Interacting. I love the 400 comments on every video. We have the best community there is. Mary, thank you for the birthday present. Dana, thank you for the birthday present. And everybody else. To all the subscribers, you know. You're appreciated. But I don't think you would like this channel. I'm just speculating. If I got up here with a crooked chin, you know, and blew smoke up your ass, I think you, hey, I used it again. See, that story, it's a runner. Ran through the whole episode. I don't think you would appreciate that. So I'm always going to be honest with you. All right? I guess that's my long way of saying I'm sorry for, that's 2 downer episodes in a row. I'm trying to make the next one a little happier. That's all I got.
But the issue is it's a signed contract. It's a legally binding contract. They're not backing out on it. They're not paying out on it. So it puts me in a bind because I've made business decisions based on that contract.
What do you say to Skylar Holden and people in that predicament?
What I would say is Congress, that the government needs to do a better job at working for the American people. Too often, it seems like the American people's working for the government, and the whole purpose of freezing and putting a hold on everything right now is to review to make sure it's working the way that Congress and the executive is supposed to implement. It's unfortunate that this is the case. I've been talking with several farmers that have been experiencing this and trying to help guide them through this process. But it's all going to work out. Right now, it's a little bit disruptive, but that's what this administration promised whenever they were coming to Washington,
so
is that they would be disruptive and look at ways to make the government more efficient and working for the people.